So I didn't really order this. We'll see how we transition between each
Mhm.
one. But Thor is coming out sooner than we think. Thor: Love and
Yes.
Thunder. They actually dropped a trailer for it now, so that's
Mhm.
out in the wild. Did both of you get to see it?
I
Yes.
did. Yeah.
And
Okay, for the first, like, 2 seconds, I wasn't sure that I was watching the trailer or if I was watching some sort of, like, inspirational commercial. Like, when he was, like, running and I was just like, "Oh my god, it's an ad," or, like, you know what I mean? I was like, "Oh, I'll just, like, wait for the trailer to start," and then suddenly, like, Thor was running, and I was like, "Oh shit, it is starting. Okay, alright." So, this has definitely got that, like, different feel, and it's definitely, like, a it's a I say different feel, but it's definitely a continuation of, like, Ragnarok. Like,
right,
Taika Waititi's definitely, like, got a style that he brings that you can feel, but it's definitely not, like, what we think of as typical Marvel or traditional Marvel,
sure,
which I appreciate. But, yeah,
okay,
I overall enjoyed the trailer.
okay,
Didn't tell me a whole lot of what was going on, but it was fun.
sure,
I think that's to its benefit, though. I mean, more I like trailers that leave you guessing, like, okay, I kind of want to see it because how are all these things interrelated? Like,
Right.
how are all these scenes gonna
What
make
is
a movie? I need to see
what is
that.
this, like, point here? What is, like, the story?
Or you could
Because
do like what DC does, where it's just, hey, this is literally a 30-second synopsis of the entire movie. You don't need to go see it.
yeah. Yeah, I like having a little bit of mystery, yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Sometimes trailers show way too much, so I'm fine
I
with that. I'm surprised it took so long to get a trailer, but, you know.
I'm
Well,
not.
I'm surprised that, um I am and I'm not. I mean, I'm surprised that it took so long to get a trailer like this, but I'm sure that in the sense of, like, not really telling us anything about the movie, you'd think they would have had this early on in shooting, like, they would have had enough to piece this together, but also, I feel like I really haven't heard that much about Thor: Love and Thunder. Like, it's
No.
been quiet,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden it's like, "Surprise, we're back."
Yeah. I
I
mean,
I
go
told
ahead.
my friend when I watched, because he sent it to me in a text message, and I, I would say Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy are probably the last collection of characters that I care about
Mm.
from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I say this because
So
I kind
Doctor
of
Strange is a no for you?
no, no, no. Yeah, I mean, sorry, I should rephrase it. Yes, Doctor Strange is. I want to see Doctor Strange. I kind of hoping, but
Okay.
what I'm hoping comes from this. I think we kind of touched on this last time. Maybe I don't know. I can't remember. I'm getting a little marveled out
Mhm.
to
Yeah, we
where
definitely talked about, yeah.
Yeah.
you know
We
I,
talked about
I'm
how the decade-long buildup and everything is, and, maybe it's kind of a cathartic, like, "Oh, we're done," like, breath out, there it was,
Mhm.
yeah, and it's all right.
Mhm.
I did it. This was a huge thing for me, and I like Chris Hemsworth Thor, especially because Chris Hemsworth kind of came in and said that he wanted Thor to be more relatable. Because if you watch the very first Thor movie and then you watch Ragnarok, that's like two completely different characters,
Completely
and
different, yes.
Absolutely.
it's because he wanted to change it because that Thor was not relatable. He was very rigid. He was very uptight. Kind of wasn't a very interesting character. And Chris took it and made it his own. And that's kind of what made Thor so lovable in a lot of the movies that progressed beyond that, because he kind of put this character together, this kind of interesting, funny, relatable, hot guy. It was it's a good character. And I'm glad he's getting his movie, but I don't want to sound mean, but I'm kind of hoping this is the last of this movie series, because I don't want
I
this to turn into something that they keep dragging out and out and out
Sure.
until it should have died a long time ago type of thing.
I think this is his. I don't know that it's Thor's.
Interesting. Okay.
If
Okay.
I mean, for those who have seen the trailer and sort of get a sneak peek about what may be happening to
Well,
Thor.
I would say it's not a I mean, if this is a secret to anyone, I mean,
Oh,
the
yeah, okay.
unveiling,
You get
at
my drift now?
Yeah,
the
I'm picking up what you're laying
Comic-Con.
down. Yeah,
Dang it.
yep, yeah, okay.
I mean, I don't know. Renato, tell me if you know what we're talking about, because I feel like anyone that is
We
paying
spoiled so
attention to
many
this.
things for him, he's probably like, "I'm not gonna
Yeah,
watch this."
I just it's very
Tony just
clear.
blurts it out. Well, I've already done one tonight.
They're just not being secretive about it. So, like, it's
Mhm.
out there. It's not like even leaks or anything like that. They had Natalie Portman come on stage in front of thousands of people in the world and hold
Yes.
Mjolnir the hammer. So, like, it's not.
Oh, okay, well,
This
but
is not.
that's different, though. That's a new character. So they can
So that's what I'm
do.
saying. Like, I think this is Chris Hemsworth, his last ride, but I don't know that it's Thor's last
Yeah.
ride.
And hopefully they do well with it. Natalie Portman. By the way, talk about like somebody who is super interesting. Natalie Portman, um, classically trained. I think she's got a PhD if I'm not mistaken.
I think you
I,
may be
I think
correct.
she's been to plenty of school. Yeah.
Yeah, and she does a bunch of different stuff.
Mhm.
Um.
I mean, the shit in your shoe skit was the best one.
Oh.
That's the best thing
Oh.
she's done.
Yeah. Oh. Hands down, that was Emmy, Oscar, Academy Award right
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
But it's this idea, like you have Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which I'm hoping is going to be as good as kind of keeps that same
Mhm.
energy of the other ones. But this is that thing where it's like, okay, you can't keep relying on the
Right.
pillars you built the last 12, 13 years to try to get
Right.
people interested in Marvel because
If it's a new phase, it's a new phase.
yeah,
Like, commit.
cut it and go. Like,
Yep.
Yeah, unlike on a larger Marvel scale talk and stuff, I feel like basically we talk about it. We could talk about it every week, I suppose. I had attempts to not regurgitate my continual thoughts,
mm,
ad nauseum. But the eh, I think it goes back to my critique of Loki, the TV show. Loki was, for me, a really fun show, but it shouldn't have been a Loki show. It's not very Loki at all. The character is not particularly Loki. I mean, it's not recognizable to me as Loki. Um, Thor is kind of the same thing. Like, yeah, he's kind of boring, maybe in the first one or something like that. But that's why he's a good ensemble character, because he's maybe doesn't isn't the character to stand on his own. His what happened to his teammates, from
Ugh,
Asgard.
still bitter about that.
Right. That is what makes those movies to possibly work. You have the team, and so then when he's on the Avengers, the same thing. So his shtick was, well, I am a very old being, but I am very unfamiliar with the ways of Earth. So that's my comedy thing.
Mhm.
Another for the drinks, classic. So then, yeah, this reinvention, that's fine, but it's not really Thor. It's not look like Thor. Is not the Thor. It's not the Thor character. So Thor Ragnarok is a very entertaining movie. I think it's very entertaining, but it's not really Thor. And so I think we're having it's gonna be the same thing with this. Taika Waititi puts together some good films for sure, and he has a really good sense of humor,
I
I
love his
think.
sense of humor.
So I think the movie is probably gonna be fun, but it's not gonna be Thor. So it'd be better if it was just its own thing. And so it's again like we're having Marvel shackle themselves to these characters when they could just
Sure.
move on, come up with new things. Like, do we have to have when it says Marvel banners? Does it have to be something that's pre-existing? If you want to tell your own thing, just tell your own thing. Just do it. So that's where I fall on this. I
Mm,
think it's going to be
I see.
entertaining. I don't think it's
Yeah.
going to look like Thor at all, or be anything that is recognizable as Thor to anyone that's been a fan of Thor over the last 30 years. It'll be recognizable to people that saw Infinity War, Endgame, and
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok. You know,
Mhm.
so
I'm excited for it though. I mean, I don't want like my like curmudgeony comments to overshadow the fact that I'm gonna go see it because
Sure.
Mhm.
I like the director's work. I like those cast of characters. I like those actors and actresses. I want to
Mhm.
support that. I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah,
I
I have my own issues with Thor, chiefly being like, where did all his friends go? And he keeps getting new friends, and it bothers me.
Yeah.
Like, I have nothing against, like, pretty much any of the movies. I loved Kenneth Branagh's version, like, the first Thor, because it was very, like, Shakespearean. That's what I'm about. I love Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah.
And, I mean, at the end of the day, it wasn't the most exciting movie, but it was a well put together movie. Like, Dark World, I think we can all just sort of, like, set aside and be like, "I don't even know what that was." That wasn't even, like, Thor versus Taika Waititi's Thor. It was just like, that was bad. That was bad news. But the worst of it was, now he keeps like losing all of like his crew from Asgard, and he keeps replacing them. Like, in Ragnarok, he replaces them with Hulk and Valkyrie, and then now we're getting him replacing his crew with Guardians of the Galaxy. And I just sort of miss the original camaraderie of that group, the history, the stories that could have been told with that group. They were fun. It was a great cast, and it just felt like a wasted opportunity to like get Thor tied into the Avengers in some way, or like keep utilizing other Avengers casts in different ways. Where you're like, you don't have to do this. Like, people can have their own solo movies, and it's fine to not have like, "Ooh, guest appearance by one of the
Yeah.
Avengers." Like, who is it gonna be? Didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
So,
It was I think a wasted that whole mythology and the whole world is kind of wasted. In my opinion, they could have
mhm,
spent more time there. They could have taken the other characters more seriously.
mhm.
Um, I mean, Loki went Loki in there went from someone to a god or demigod to be feared to kind of the butt of the joke.
Yeah,
It's
which
like
is disappointing.
as soon as Hulk smashed him around in the Avengers
Yep.
movie, and people got a kick out of it. As more and more Loki had to become the butt of the joke.
Well, he had to be comic relief, and and I
Mhm.
mean, it makes sense in a fashion because he's a trickster, so there was always gonna be some humor associated with him there, and especially when things didn't work out, but it didn't need to be so constant. Like,
Mhm.
he still could have been, like,
He's supposed to be cunning,
right, he's supposed to,
cunning and
like, be
clever, not
smart and,
a
like,
doofus.
yeah. Yeah, exactly, not a doofus. Like, some of his plans could have worked out, and it could have been interesting.
Even
And they
Thor. How
they
long
had
has Thor
those.
been alive?
Hmm, sorry,
Hmm?
what did you say, Tony?
Yeah, go
Oh, I
ahead.
didn't. I'm sorry. I was like they had moments of him being cunning, and they had moments of him where you saw the true Loki character come through.
Mhm.
But to your point, I'd like to have saw more of those.
Yeah.
Mhm. You
Yeah,
know
like, I mean, obviously, I thought I mean, I think the one interesting spot of Dark World is the fact that, like, spoilers, Loki does, have a plan work out, and he gets rid of Thor, and he gets to be king of Asgard. I mean, he has to impersonate his dad to do it, but it's a
right.
really cunning scheme that works out. And
Yep.
then in Ragnarok, it's like this big joke that, like, he's like lounging around being fed grapes, and he's kind of like a doofus, like bumbling around, and Thor figures it out in like half a second.
Yep.
I don't know. Could have been more interesting for longer.
I I did think Anthony Hopkins playing that part was actually pretty funny.
Oh,
Well,
absolutely.
sure. Yeah.
Him trying to like do some mannerisms and just like,
Oh
I
shit.
mean, the Matt Damon playing Loki in the play that Anthony Hopkins is watching. Like, I mean, so many good things abound in that scene, but it just could have been more interesting to like have Thor maybe not figure it out that particular second.
Mhm.
Or something else, or have he had something else up his sleeve. I don't know. Just contingency plans.
Yep.
Can we also talk like how funny it is when Matt Damon does weird random cameos?
I
Yeah.
know. That's one of my favorites. Just, oh, so good. The
Well,
commitment on his part.
I'm glad, we got the trailer finally. I'm
Yeah,
happy for those that are
should be
still head over
entertaining.
heels about all the Marvel stuff.